Everyone here tonight has a critical role to play at the vital crossroads of our nation. Democrats in Congress have embraced an extreme, destructive, and dangerous agenda, radical socialism and open borders. Democrats are determined to replicate the most catastrophic failures of world history right here in the United States. They've never learned. They haven't watched.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, tragedy strikes again as we have another former NYPD officer who has taken their own life. And that makes the number 11 suicides by NYPD officers this year. That is doubling their average over the last 5 years. We're going to take a look at that phenomenon and what Q has said about it. Plus, Hillary Clinton putting out very cryptic, strange messages on her Twitter. We're going to take a closer look at those. Plus, we're going to look at a bunch of other breaking news stories. So you guys are going to stick around and check it out. Hey guys, if you're going to be in Miami this October 10th through 12th and you want to check out an incredible event with people like Donald Trump Jr., Sarah Sanders, Charlie Kirk, Jason Chaffetz, Matt Gaetz, and many others, I encourage you to check out the link in the description for the American Priority Conference in Miami. Now, this is going to be an incredible event. We're going to have a charity golf tournament. We're going to have a charity poker tournament. We're going to have a bunch of different guest speakers, including some really important people. So I really think you guys should go check out the link in the description and sign up and come meet me down in Florida this October 10th through 12th in Miami at Trump National at Doral on the Blue Monster, for those of you who know golf. And we're going to have a great time. Again, special speakers include Donald Trump Jr. and Sarah Sanders and many others. So I encourage you all to check that out, and I hope to see you there. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. And yes, I am back. I've been doing some traveling. If you guys are following the channel, you know that I haven't been posting for the last few days. Well, that's because I've been in Washington, D.C. attending the QAnon Great Awakening rally. We're going to talk about that a little bit here on the channel today, but primarily what we're going to do is focus on the main stories. So I always encourage everyone to come here, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. And we always take a look over here at the Q board. Still nothing. 3570 is where we left off August 1st. It's been a little over a month now, and 8chan is coming back. It's just a matter of time. And we're waiting for that to happen, and then we may have more Q posts. But in the meantime, as always, there is much more to cover as far as breaking stories and the rest. So we're going to get into that. But first, I always encourage everyone, come back here, watch these last videos, share them on your social media, because we know there's an algorithmic suppression at hand. YouTube, Google, Facebook, Twitter, and the rest are doing everything they can to suppress the content that is created and pushed on channels like this and others, because in their view, it is going against their control of the narrative. So you have to come here, watch these videos, share them on your social media. You can get caught up, and it's a great way to kind of catch up to where we're at. Plus, here also is the explanation. If you're scratching your head going, what is QAnon? You need to watch this video. It gives you a lot of information. You should go check it out. What is QAnon, the Great Awakening? So I recommend you do that. Share these on your social media and get the word out that way. So before we get started, I want to talk briefly about the rally that I attended in Washington, D.C. I want to just give you a few highlights about what happened there. I met a lot of great people. We had a lot of great conversations. A lot of patriots came together to talk about QAnon and the Great Awakening. What I thought was fascinating is few things that happened. Apparently, so the rally was an all-day event. There was one very, very incredible moment that I'm trying to find footage of, but it's hard because I don't think anybody was expecting it. So the Park Services had a helicopter that arrived right near the Washington Monument where we were set up. We were set up about, if I had to guess, I'd say 100 yards from the Washington Monument. And we had a stage, and we had a pretty decent crowd. And apparently that morning before I had arrived, because the speaking event was supposed to start in the afternoon and they were just setting up in the morning, we had the people there at the event say that a helicopter came in, and I can't make this up. Multiple people said this happened and they witnessed it. So I'm going off of these eyewitness accounts. I wasn't there, but it sounds pretty interesting. That the park's helicopter service came over, and their helicopter actually went in a circle and then made a dip over, and it was the form of a Q. That's what they're telling me. I'm thinking, okay, just another wink and a nod. We had a great day, a lot of speakers. We had a great time. We met some interesting people. We had a lot of fun in DC, and we got to come together and celebrate this movement and to honor the memory of those who had lost their lives in 9/11. So it was definitely a big event. Watch that video if you want to get caught up and see what it was kind of like. That's a quick little live stream I did where I talked to some of the fake news reporters that are there. But with that being said, I just want to say it was a great time to everybody who's watching. You all know who you are. Who we talked at this rally, and we had a lot of great. I met a lot of great people, a lot of people who watch the channel. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your kind words, and I'm just blessed to be able to share it with you guys. So thank you to everybody who was there, who made that rally possible, especially the people who put it together. They know who they are, and I'm very thankful. So that was an incredible day. So just thought I'd share that first before we get into the latest stories. Now, we have some big stories, of course. First of all, just a little warm up here. U.S. Marines tweeting out on September 12th, yesterday, weather the storm. Talking about a crew chief with Marine Medium Tilt Rotor Squadron 364 attached to Special Purpose Marine Air Ground Task Force Crisis Response Central Command mans an M240D machine gun on an MV-22 Osprey during a tactical recovery of aircraft and personnel exercise. It's just a fascinating quote to hear from the United States Marine Corps. Some of the best men and women that we have, and all of our armed services. I don't want to just say the Marines, but you guys know who you are. Thank you so much for your service, and we are weathering the storm. And of course, Brad Parscale. I thought an interesting little story. I was in D.C., and we were all celebrating after the rally at the Trump Hotel. We were having, a big group of people. We were all hanging out and just talking about America, and we just so happened to be sitting right next to Brad Parscale. So it was a pleasure to see you briefly, sir, and we had a good time. So this was funny, though. They put a banner up over the Houston debate for the Democrats, which said, socialism sucks, Trump 2020. So, everything that we're going through here, everything that we're doing, I'm telling you, is a part of a bigger plan, and it's really coming together. We just have to keep pushing it, and we have to keep doing our part, which is exposing evil, telling the truth as we know it, and in my case, trying to spread God's word as far and as wide as I can. So this is an incredible movement. I'm truly blessed to be a part of it. Now, the U.S. Attorney has recommended proceeding with charges against McCabe as DOJ rejects the last-ditch appeal. So this is a big story that broke last night, basically, where this U.S. Attorney, Jesse Liu, is recommending that they move forward with charges against Andrew McCabe. Now, Andrew McCabe's lawyers shot back today saying that there's no indication that any indictments have been forwarded in the Andrew McCabe case. So there is a bit of a disconnect between this statement from Jesse Liu and what is actually happening in reality. But like we saw in the last Q post, we have to remember that even if we let go of smaller charges such as lying or perjury, which is a hard one to prove, that we have a much bigger case. I mean, we do have the goods on this whole Russia collusion hoax, how Comey, McCabe, and the rest were involved in setting up the Spygate hoax, which was used to try to attempt a coup on the president. So when Q says, they're not going to prosecute Comey, or they come out and say they're not going to prosecute McCabe on these small, basically process crimes, you have to remember there's a much bigger slam dunk coming, in my humble opinion. But I'm throwing it out there and letting you guys kind of chew on that to see what you think. Of course, this story goes on to talk about how he made misleading statements concerning Hillary Clinton-related investigation, and McCabe's legal team is coming out and saying the department rejected your appeal, or they had an appeal against this finding, and then it got rejected. So we're actually seeing that there is a lot more to this story, but there will be a lot more coming out on all of these individuals who are involved with this, and we're just continuing to expose them bit by bit. As Q has said, there will come a point where they will not be able to walk down the street. But with that, we have another story we're going to jump into. 2 Australian bloggers went to Iran to prove that it's a great place to travel, and now they've been in prison for 10 weeks. This is a true story. Apparently, these vloggers decided to go to Iran to travel through it, to show it's such a peaceful and nice and wonderful country. And of course, they were detained and thrown in prison without any real reason, other than I'm sure it's a part of a more broad effort by the Iranian government to continue to crack down on Western infiltration. See, I would imagine that the Iranians are very paranoid about Western spies coming into their country, so they'll take any excuse they can to target foreigners, especially given the climate that has created itself with this whole big negotiation between President Trump and Iran, where we already know President Trump has shown that there is going to be change in Iran, and that they're either going to work and change, or they're going to continue to suffer the consequences as far as sanctions go and other types of repercussions. So, you know, this is really a big story in the sense that this is what they do, right? This is what the Iranians do. This is what they have to bring to the table. They are trying to intimidate the West. They're trying to protect the assets that they created through the whole Iran deal. They had deals that were based off of them being quiet about the influence, about the money, about all of it. And now it's coming out. So we're going to have to wait and see how this story plays out. But this is going to be a part of a bigger, much bigger story that's going to continue to develop over time, I believe. Now let's get into the literal big brother. I mean, this guy, Mark Zuckerberg, to me, he's worse than an authoritarian fascist. He's like a mini dictator who is so oblivious to the rest of society at large, and so hooked on trying to push his own social justice warrior, virtue signaling agenda. And he doesn't care. He's got $1 billion. He's got a massive estate in Hawaii on one of the most beautiful islands in the world. He could care less about your freedom. All he cares about is his money and controlling what you think. And don't ever forget for 1 second that he was basically just handed LifeLog from DARPA to create Facebook so that the intelligence agencies could have you voluntarily give all of your information to them, and all of your connections, your network, who you talk to, your private messages, where you go, what you buy, all of that was a part of this program, LifeLog, created by DARPA, handed to Mark Zuckerberg in order to deceive the American public at large. And now they just are anti-Christian. Isn't that great? Isn't it wonderful to look at our society and how it's continuing to devolve into this fascistic rule where the progressive left is telling us how if we have religious beliefs, we can't have those. They need to be removed. And if we believe that abortion is murder, then we don't have the right to speak on their platforms. These people acting as authoritarians, they're trying to enact a fascistic agenda against our society. They're trying to undermine the protections provided in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And what they hide it under the guise of is, oh, well, we're a private company. No, you know what? If my taxpayer dollars went to fund the DARPA project, which ended up creating LifeLog, and then it was given to you, I own that, right? We own that as taxpayers. And if you can prove it wrong, if you can say that DARPA and LifeLog didn't give you Facebook and it's not the exact same thing, then I'll gladly say you can be a private company. But until you prove to me that the program itself that you used, the idea was not just handed to you by the deep state in order to create an intelligence apparatus that could be globally used to spy on everyone, then I'm going to go ahead and say that Facebook is representative of the deep state cabal of globalists, evil, demonic, satanic, sick, anti-American, anti-Christian regime. That's what it's a part of. And they are the ones who are the true enemy of the people, because they're working with the press, the fake news, who are the enemy of the people. The real news are not the enemy of the people, but the fake news is. Be very clear about that. So this is just another example of how the censorship is continuing to get worse and worse. Now, this happened, very interestingly, there was a letter that was put together by U.S. senators and sent to, of course, Facebook, saying that it was wrong for them to disallow pro-abortion arguments. Well, guess what Facebook did? And you can't make this up, right? Here it is. So what they did is, following the letter that was sent by U.S. senators to Facebook, they actually sent another push notification out to everyone who was following this Live Action account saying, content shared by Live Action was rated false by an independent fact checker. Okay, are you kidding me? This is Orwellian. This is dystopic. This is nightmarish that these corrupt, feckless, sick, demonic people are going to go, oh, well, everything you're saying is false, but you have the right to say it. But we have the right to say it. Everything you say is false because we're not an objective platform. We're actually a publishing platform who is in the business of telling people what's true and false. And that's going to be our position now, is that they're the arbiters of truth in society. So I guess Facebook is the arbiter of truth, and we are just, to be pushed around as cogs in their machine. So I just had to briefly touch on that. Here's an interesting one. Larry Johnson. You should check out his Twitter account. This guy's a former NFL player, played for the Kansas Chiefs, and I think he played for the Lions, Detroit Lions. But he is an incredibly thoughtful individual. Now, he says here in his description, he broke records for the Nittany Lions, broke records for the Chiefs. More importantly, he broke the devil's hold on his soul. And if you go through his account, he talks about mind control. He talks about MK Ultra. He talks about Satanism. He talks about the influence in culture, the satanic influence in culture and music and television and everything. And he's red pilling a lot of people. And I'll tell you what, I used to watch football before they started, becoming like anti-American, whatever. But Larry Johnson was always a favorite player of mine, and now he's actually my favorite NFL player of all time, because if you start following him and reading his tweets, which I'm going to start doing right now, I just found this today. So you need to go read his Twitter. There's a lot in there. And for those of you who say, everybody says nothing happening, there's no arrest being made. 100 people were arrested in Central Ohio in a human trafficking sting. This just broke today. Apparently, the Ohio State House Attorney General said that the results come from a Columbus-based human trafficking sting that was conducted this week in partnership with law enforcement from across the state. It's called Operation Fourth and Goal, was successful in helping to improve the human trafficking problem in Ohio, with 104 people arrested as part of the sting. 52 were charged with felonies. The arrest took over 30 law enforcement agencies working together. So the message is, don't buy sex in Ohio. You don't know when a man buys sex, whether it's genuine consent, or rather the victim is being forced with a baseball bat or knife and or the next hit of heroin. This is very true. So here are the individuals. If you want to pause and look at it, these are the individuals who are arrested, and I'm just telling you right now that we are combating this continuously. So again, Flynn's lawyer here, we've talked about this before. What they're doing is very interesting. So General Flynn's lawyer, who is really doing an incredible job with them, is pushing for the exoneration. Now, what they've argued, General Flynn and his lawyer, Sidney Powell, is that the evidence that proves Russiagate, Spygate happened, and the illegal push for a special counsel investigation, all of that is in and of itself exonerating evidence toward General Flynn's case. If you can prove what Peter Strzok was doing was illegal, then you can prove basically that General Flynn was set up. So they're looking for exculpatory evidence to come out of what is the Spygate investigation. So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I've heard a lot of people saying that we're expecting full exoneration for General Flynn through exculpatory evidence. Here's an interesting story. Epstein did not die in his prison cell, apparently. So this changes the whole story, too. They basically have come out and said, that he did not die in his actual jail cell. He was moved to another room where he ended up dying. And there's been a whole bunch of other theories out there that he was basically, all I know is this. From what I hear from people who I trust, sources I know, is that he did not commit suicide, allegedly. He was actually murdered. Now, that's a speculative statement, and I'm only saying it in regard to this particular story with the idea that, wherever it happened, we know it was not intentional. Q has told us it probably wasn't intentional when he said that why would a man who is facing that who is about to hear back on his appeal, why would he commit suicide before that appeal came back? So that doesn't make any sense, right? So here we go. Hillary Clinton mocking the U.S. from abroad and taunting the House Republicans, saying that she found her emails. Here's the actual tweet. So she was at this place in Venice, and she literally, there was a replica of the Resolute desk, which is the desk the president sits at in the White House, in the Oval Office. And I can't believe this, but she sits down with all of her emails and says, "Someone alert the House GOP. I found my emails at Venice Biennale." So when I first read this, obviously the first thing you think is everything that Q has told us about the way these people use Twitter as a way to send these veiled threats and coded messages out to their co-conspirators and or the people who are there standing in opposition toward. And I believe in this particular case, there is definitely a bigger message behind this. To me, what I think we're talking about here is it's Italy. So we know about the Catholic Church. We know about the involvement on Epstein Island with the occult. We know that there's obviously something to be said for all of the occultism and all of the satanic influences that they have pushing them, in my humble opinion. But with that being said, when she gets up there at President Trump's desk, a replica of it, and talks about her emails from Italy, now I know it's Venice, but she's in Italy, right? It could definitely be suggested that there is something going on with her and the Catholic Church and trying to go against the president and the House GOP. This is a tactic that they used, interestingly enough, previously. The Clintons were very much known. When Bill Clinton came under investigation for the Monica Lewinsky scandal, the Democrats, pushed by Hillary Clinton and Bill and their minions, created a scorched earth policy where they went after every single GOP Republican, trying to show them to be cheaters, philanderers, if they've ever even, they did anything basically as far as sexual immorality goes. That was the whole push. They were trying to legitimize President Clinton's actions and minimize them in saying that, well, look, if you're going to get mad at President Clinton for doing this in the Oval Office, you're going to have to get mad at these GOP senators for what they've done, or they cheated on their wife and had to have a divorce or whatever. Now, I'm not excusing any of that behavior. I think it's disgusting, and if people are going to be exposed, they're going to be exposed. But it was a form of all-out warfare that they were conducting. It was, like I said, a scorched earth policy. They said if they were going to go down, they were going to bring everyone down with them. And that's exactly, to this day, I think, what Hillary Clinton is still trying to do. And she's trying to intimate, I think, that she knows more about other people than they could imagine. And good for her, because we've talked about different theories. There's actually one different theory out there about how, on that day after President Trump was elected, that she was actually picked up and shown evidence and basically was arrested and then released. And even to this day, she's still been under surveillance and monitoring. So it's kind of a hard one to believe, considering she's, jet setting around the world every day doing all these these interesting engagements. And obviously, this is a message. I think this is a message that's pointed directly at President Trump. But here we go. First of all, this was the one about Jeffrey Epstein I was talking about. Does a person who fights hard for bail, then appeals the original decision, attempt to overturn, attempt suicide prior to the ruling of the appeal? Logical thinking, Q. So we talked about suicide. Now, this story came out. Retired NYPD Sergeant 49 shoots himself dead, making him the 11th active or former officer to take their own life this year. And it begs the question, what Q has asked us before about the NYPD. First off, this was from May 15th, where Q says, "Did you catch it? The speech what NYPD officer or NYPD detectives were 187 in mid 2017. Officer Familia 1. Godspeed, Patriot. We will never forget Q." So we had this where President Trump went and did a speech with the NYPD, and he spoke directly to Officer Familia's family. And we talked about, did these individuals see the insurance file? And that's the question Q asks here in the previous post, where an Anon says, "The stuff about the NYPD isn't just coming out. I'd heard about that during the campaign, but maybe the public wasn't ready for it yet. No one wanted to believe it then." So it says, find the 2 NYPD detectives, 187 mid-2017. Did they view the insurance file? Threats are real. This is not a game. Q. So I've talked to sources who tell me basically this, that there is a high probability that a lot of the NYPD officers, and I'm just saying this is a speculative statement, but that the NYPD officers who we're seeing lose their lives may have some connection to what was found on that insurance file. And if you're scratching, go, what is that insurance file? We're talking about a file that allegedly existed on the seized laptop of Anthony Weiner, that several New York PD detectives and a few other individuals and agents in law enforcement, federal law enforcement, were able to actually see. Now, this file, allegedly marked insurance, was full of damning evidence, political blackmail, allegedly videos of sexually, of compromising sexual activities among high-ranking individuals. So the theory is that everyone associated or involved with this video in watching it has mysteriously been losing their lives since 2017. So that's the theory. I'm just giving it to you guys to chew on. Not to mention, just after that, the head of mental health services at University of Pennsylvania has died by suicide, which I just thought was an interesting story. As it, first of all, he's the head of mental health services at a major university, and then he goes and commits suicide. So obviously there may be more to that story, but also what we've talked about with Q about how mind control and MK Ultra and the rest. I mean, we have evidence about that came out in the 70s about Project MK Ultra, and Q has told us how now the intelligence agencies use certain psychiatrists and psychologists in their programs to effectively implement that kind of mind control. So I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know that there's necessarily a correlation, but it is certainly something to look at more closely. Links to everything we've talked about here today will be in the description, so I want you guys to go check that out. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you guys for watching. A few more things before we go. Obviously, watch these videos, share them on social media, get the word out that way. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't, but leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about everything that we talked about here today on the channel. And don't forget to be brave. Download the Brave browser. You can support Just Informed Talk and make your internet browsing experience that much better. What is Brave browser? You click the link in the description of this video to download it. Once you download it, you install it and you run it just like you would Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or Windows Internet Explorer. It's an internet browser, but what it does is it blocks ads and it makes the websites you look at that much easier to get through. I know sometimes I'll go to websites and there'll be so many pop-up ads and other ads that I can't even find the actual article I'm trying to read. So if you're tired of that and you want to get rid of the ads, download the Brave browser, and it will also help this channel out. So you download the Brave browser, install it, and use it. And I use it, so I'm recommending it for you guys, and I hope you guys check that out. Also, you can come find me over here on Twitter at JustInformedU. It's a great way where we can connect outside the channel. And of course, justinformednews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk, where we have links to all the different Q stuff, news sites, breaking news, and of course, the latest from the channel here. So I encourage everyone to go check that out as well. Also, before we go, a couple other ways you can help out. Patreon, patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. Look, with what's going on with YouTube, they've decided to put my channel in a category where nothing I can make can get monetized. I mean, I'm pretty sure at this point I could put up dogs and cats, puppies and kittens, and it would get demonetized because these people are Orwellian authoritarian fascists who are trying to suppress information, and they're trying to restrict the rights of individuals who are posting on their platforms, and they're trying to punitively damage those who would like to go around their narrative, counter their mainstream fake news narrative, their big tech agenda. So your support keeps this channel alive. How do you do it? There's a link in the description. You click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. Your support has kept this channel alive. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to both will be in the description. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, I want to read to you a verse that talks about something important. It's talking about strength in the Lord. It's Psalm 28, and it talks about where our strength should come from. And I want to share these words with you. So I'm going to read it. It says, "Lord, I call to you, my rock. Do not be deaf to me. If you remain silent to me, I will be like those going down to the pit. Listen to the sound of my pleading when I cry to you for help, when I lift up my hands toward your holy sanctuary. Do not drag me away with the wicked, with the evildoers, who speak in friendly ways with their neighbors while malice is in their hearts. Repay them according to what they have done, according to the evil of their deeds. Repay them according to the work of their hands. Give them back what they deserve, because they do not consider what the Lord has done or the work of his hands. He will tear them down and not rebuild them. May the Lord be praised, for he has heard the sound of my pleading. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him, and I am helped. Therefore, my heart rejoices, and I praise him with my song. The Lord is the strength of his people. He is a stronghold of salvation for his anointed. Save your people. Bless your possession. Shepherd them and carry them forever." And I want you to take that message and share it with your friends and family and your loved ones, and remind yourself and them that the wicked, those who live a godless life, those who speak pleasantly to your face but actually hold malice in their heart, that we will persevere and triumph over them because we live a righteous life, because we do unto others as we want done unto ourselves, because we live a life for God, and we humble ourselves before God every day, and we ask God for strength and courage and wisdom to make us the men or women that we need to be for him, because that's the men and women that he needs in the world. And I call on you to bring that message to your friends and family and loved ones and strangers you meet on the street. I challenge you to go into the world and become a light of the Lord and spread that light into the world. Put God first and show God to others. That's what we're called to do, and that's where we get our strength. And I promise you, if you just do that, and it's simple as just saying a prayer and opening your heart, your blessings will multiply. God will come into your heart, and he will show you things that you could never imagine. That's what God has in store for those who believe, things we could never imagine. So that's my message to you, and I want you to take that to the rest of your friends, family, loved ones, everyone in the world, and share it with them. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Thanks for watching. Again, come here, click the big red subscribe button if you haven't, and hit it, punch it, headbutt it, elbow it, knee it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. Thank you so much for coming and watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.